Good evening and Happy New Year, residents of Everett, Washington. I would like to call to order the Everett City Council meeting of January 3rd, 2024. The City Council meets all requirements of the State of Washington Open Public Meetings Act. Community members are welcome to join either in person, remote via Zoom, or by calling in. For those who wish to participate in the future via Zoom, you'll find the instructions to register for public comment on the City of Everett website under the City Council Department. Please note that we do not allow comments of any kind of campaigning, whether for or against ballot measures or candidates running for office. We also do not accept comments focused on personal matters that are unrelated to city business. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Mayor Franklin.
Here.
Councilmember Bader.
Here.
Councilmember Ryan.
Here.
Councilmember Vogely.
Here.
Councilmember Schwab.
Here.
Councilmember Fosse.
Here.
Councilmember Zerlingo.
Here.
Vice President Tui.
Here. Now I would like to ask Councilmember Ryan to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand if you are able. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now I'd like to ask Councilmember Schwab to read the land acknowledgement.
I'd be honored. The City Council wishes to acknowledge the original inhabitants of this place, the Stohoops people and their successors, the Tulalip tribes. Since time immemorial, they have hunted, fished, gathered on, and taken care of these lands and waters. We respect their sovereignty, their right to self-determination, and honor their sacred spiritual connection with the land and the water. We will strive to be honest about our past mistakes and bring about a future that includes their people, stories, and voices to form a more just and equitable society.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to call Judge Wilson forward to perform the oath of office with Councilmember Bader.
Push the button.
Good to see you. If you repeat after me, I, Scott Bader,
I, Scott Bader,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of the State of Washington,
and the Constitution and laws of the State of Washington,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and I will faithfully and impartially
perform and discharge the duties
perform and discharge the duties
of the office of City of Everett Council at Large, Position 6.
of the office of City of Everett Council at Large, Position 6,
For a 4-year term,
for a 4-year term,
according to the law
according to the law
and the best of my ability.
and the best of my abilities.
Congratulations.
And now I would like to call on Judge Leonard to perform the oath of office for myself. Okay. Oh, 7.
Go ahead and raise your right hand. I, Judy Tui,
I, Judy Tui,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States
that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States
and the laws of the State of Washington,
and the laws of the State of Washington,
and that I will faithfully and impartially perform
and that I will faithfully and impartially perform
and discharge the duties of the office
and discharge the duties of the office
of City of Everett Council at Large, Position 7,
of City of Everett Council at Large, Position 7,
for a 4-year term,
for a 4-year term,
according to the law,
according to the law,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you both, Judge Wilson and Judge Leonard, for that. Appreciate it. Moving on, do I hear a motion for the approval of the minutes of December 20th, 2023?
Councilmember Ryan moves approval of the minutes from December 20th, 2023.
Seconded.
Thank you. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Bader.
Abstain.
Councilmember Ryan.
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely.
Abstain?
Councilmember Schwab.
Yes.
Councilmember Fosse.
Yes.
Councilmember Zarlingo.
Yes.
Vice President Tui.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening, I guess still Vice President Tui, and congratulations, Councilmember Tui and Bader. Good to see you both here on the dais, and Happy New Year to everybody. At this time, I'd like to invite Chief DeRoos forward to welcome our newest officer, Doolittle.
Hello, Council and Mayor. Happy to read a little bit of information about our newest officer, Jack Doolittle. Jack was born in South Surrey, British Columbia, but moved to Linden, Washington as a child. Jack graduated from Linden High School in 2019 and went on to attend the University of Washington. He graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Human Behavior in 2022. Jack joined the National Guard in October of 2022 and worked in protective services for Amazon prior to being hired by the Everett Police Department. Jack was interested in law enforcement from a young age, thanks to his dad, who worked as a police officer. Jack always looked up to him and respected his service to the community. When choosing a department, Jack gravitated toward Everett based on his observations of how officers conducted themselves when he lived in Everett while in college. We must also thank retired Everett police officer Mark Carter, who mentored Jack and spoke highly of our department. Jack graduated from the Basic Law Enforcement Academy on December 20th and is eager to start his field training. He looks forward to putting in the hard work and learning all he can to make him a great police officer here. Jack joins the department with his fiancée Olivia and the support of both of their families. In his free time, Jack enjoys hiking, working out, and spending time visiting his family in Arizona. I present Jack Doolittle.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to accept Jack Doolittle as our newest member of the Everett Police Department?
Councilmember Bader, so moves.
Second.
Thank you. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Bader.
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan.
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely.
Yes?
Councilmember Schwab.
Yes.
Councilmember Fosse.
Yes.
Councilmember Zarlingo.
Yes.
Vice President Tui.
Yes.
All right. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, please state your name,
I, Jack Doolittle,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I am either a citizen of the United States
that I am either a citizen of the United States
or a lawful permanent resident,
or a lawful permanent resident,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Washington,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Washington,
and the Charter and ordinances of the City of Everett,
and the Charter and ordinances of the City of Everett,
and that I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
that I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
perform the duties of police officer
perform the duties of police officer
of the City of Everett
of the City of Everett
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
So welcome, Officer Doolittle, and with that, I have no further comment this evening. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming for that ceremony. Angie, do we have anyone signed up to speak this evening?
Good evening, Vice President Tui. We have one person in chambers, and I did receive a few written comments, so I'll read those names. Steve Fox regarding Riverfront, Dana Herr regarding Riverfront, and Cindy Nielsen regarding item number 6 on tonight's agenda.
Okay.
Evan Reed, if you could please come to the podium. And just hit the right button on the base of the microphone. State your full name and city of residence, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Evan Reed, City of Everett. Good evening, Council. My name is Evan Reed, and I am the Executive Director of Bunker Arts Collected, or BAC, a 501c3 nonprofit organization based in Everett for Everett. Our organization is in the process of creating a robust mural arts and community volunteer program to combat widespread vandalism and blight negatively impacting small businesses, community organizations, and residents throughout the city of Everett, Washington. Since BAC's formation in October of 2023, an estimated 2.5 tons of litter have been removed from public and consenting private properties throughout Everett limits. 22 needles and hundreds of miscellaneous drug paraphernalia have been safely removed and disposed of from Everett streets. 1 no-cost mural has been painted to mediate ongoing vandalism on the corner of 41st and Rucker. 3 are in progress, and 5 additional businesses throughout Everett have agreed to participate upon review of final artistic renderings. In addition, the Cascade Boys and Girls Club received a full repaint on the entire northeast corner as a result of ongoing territorial gang graffiti in the neighborhood. Matching paint was generously donated by Raw to Paint off of Evergreen Way. As we dive into 2024, I want to briefly identify our goals and highlight needs that become apparent in our scope of work. In 2024, we are committed to commissioning 25 murals by 25 local artists for 25 small, locally owned and operated businesses that have been subject to vandalism on more than one occasion in the last 6 months. Well-done murals are statistically less likely to be vandalized compared to freshly painted blank surfaces. I would like to extend this goal to Everett Public Parks, particularly city-owned and managed basketball courts through a collaboration with Project Backboard, another 501c3 organization whose mission is to renovate public basketball courts and install large-scale works of art on the playing surface in order to strengthen communities, improve park safety, and inspire people to think more critically and creatively about their environment. We will continue our Sunday morning trash cleanups for the foreseeable future. We seek the council's consideration of an outdoor single sharps disposal bin to deter used needles from being left on the streets and to mitigate the spread of dangerous diseases. In addition, we feel well equipped to facilitate public service announcements on trash cleanups, safe needle disposal, and vandalism mediation for private property owners, and seek city collaboration to identify these needs affecting the quality of life in our community. Designated public graffiti walls on public property may deter unwanted vandalism on private property. I would urge the council to review the City of Redmond's long-standing public graffiti wall program. Lastly, we seek to facilitate small and large-scale community engagement opportunities through sidewalk poetry contests, paint in the park opportunities, and the above-mentioned basketball court repainting that can be commissioned through community input and a paint-by-number process to facilitate hands-on participation throughout all boundaries of Everett. This is a non-exhaustive list, but for the sake of my 3 minutes, thank you.
Thank you, and that concludes our public comments.
I'd just like to say thank you very much, and I've asked staff to follow up with him on those requests, because great work for his organization.
Yeah, that's great. All right, well, we're moving on now to council comments and liaison reports, and we'll start with our council member Bader.
Thanks, Council President. Just really quickly, had wanted to mention a couple people here that I'd come to see me get sworn in. My wife actually had to leave early to go with they're doing the 4th of July parade planning meeting tonight, so she had to go to that. And then also my treasurer, Mike Swanson, who's here as well. So wanted to recognize them. But also, as we begin the new year, just wanted to say, hope we can make 2024 a good year for all of Everett, and look forward to getting to work. So thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to Councilmember Ryan.
Great, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. Thank you to Evan for sharing comments tonight. Just before Bunker Arts Collective made the papers and came across my inbox, I had shared comments at council about my recent trip to Atlanta and the great work that they're doing there with public art and murals, and just how wonderful it was to see so much art and placemaking in the community. And there, he mentioned the public graffiti wall, and it reminded me of this underpass that's in Atlanta where people can just graffiti whenever and however they want, and it's actually pretty cool. It's just like this corridor of color and amazing work. So support all the work that they're doing, and glad to hear the suggestions as well. Earlier this evening, we had our Health and Human Services Committee meeting, and we had a fantastic presentation about the opioid settlement dollars that the city's receiving and our plans on a pilot project to have a mobile treatment center operating here in the city. So we're hoping to, the folks are hoping to secure a van of some sort to go around the city to meet people literally, physically where they are, to help them with opioid treatment and connecting them with services and peer support. And I think it's a really fantastic idea, and I think it's going to work out really well. And the folks that are leading the charge are also very, have great system knowledge of how to put this in place. So I think I look forward to seeing how it works out and have it come to fruition. So check out the meeting if you get a chance for more information. In light of the new year, I'd like to summarize some of my accomplishments from 2023, a year in review, if you will, so please bear with me, thank you. I faithfully attended neighborhood association meetings across Port Gardner, Glacier View, Beverly Park, Pinehurst, Valley View, and Lowell neighborhoods, and some were even on the same night. I worked with the staff from the engagement division to help the Glacier View neighborhood start up and start meeting again. So I want to send a big thank you to Lisa and Nicole for their hard work and guidance. I know the neighborhood's just been taken off running and doing an amazing job getting going. I want to also send a thank you to Councilmember Zarlingo for coordinating attendance at our shared neighborhood association over this past year for Beverly Park Pinehurst. And I believe we covered every single meeting, so thanks for your cooperation on that. In the Lowell neighborhood, I worked with city staff to have a new crosswalk put in at Main Street to connect the neighborhood to the pedestrian overpass that goes down to the new dog park. Also in Lowell, I worked with staff to address speeding issues along 3rd, and staff was able to place a speed trailer on that stretch and do a speed study, which was really helpful to alleviate concerns from neighbors. And I wanted to thank Councilmember Schwab for using his ARPA dollars for a couple more trailers. I think I've coordinated at least 5 speed trailer placements over this past year, with requests from constituents, and staff has always been so gracious to put the trailer out when they can, and having more trailers will be helpful for a much quicker response. I also worked collaboratively with Councilmember Toohey to spearhead a request to complete the sidewalk across the street from Jackson Elementary, and the project's now on the list, and so I know folks in the neighborhood are going to be really glad to see it. I know I will for folks that are dropping their kids off at school and using those pedestrian resources. I was grateful for my monthly meetings and phone calls and communications with Mayor Franklin, and appreciate the work that we've done together over the year, and especially wanted to thank her for her extension of a commitment to protect and preserve the forest at Wood Creek. I know the neighbors are very glad to hear that, and so thank you so much for that. I also coordinated with the mayor and staff to respond to an untold number of constituent inquiries, so thanks to everybody for bearing with me on that as well. One of the biggest things I'm proud of is that, drawing on my years of experience with the King County Council and the Snohomish County Council, I'm really proud that my suggestion that I put forward at our council retreat to change our committee structure has been working really well. I think it's a substantial organizational change to how we approach policy in our city, and I know there's a couple tweaks that we'll be discussing at our upcoming retreat, but overall I think it's been really transformative and successful. And last, I just want to mention, I'm also really proud of my no votes on council. I think democracy works on checks and balances, and I'm proud of the courage that it took to vote no on policy proposals that I view as inefficient or fiscally irresponsible. And I know that all of us here had no votes at one time or another, and I'm sure we will this next year as well. And I commit to continuing to dissent respectfully and rationally. And I wanted to welcome back our newest council member. Welcome and Happy New Year to everybody. I wish everyone a happy, healthy, and joyous new year. Let's get to work and go Dogs.
Thank you. Councilmember Vogely.
Good evening, everybody. Happy 2024. That was super amazing, presidential even, and makes me smile. Which is good, because I recently found out about a friend who died via police violence. So that is a bummer. More than a bummer. I'm sure you'll probably hear a little bit more about that. And hopefully the lobbyist will as well. Go 2024. Thank you.
Councilmember Schwab.
No report, thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Whoops. Councilmember Fosse.
Well, happy holidays to everybody and happy new year. I also was able to attend a riveting Health and Human Services committee with Councilmember Ryan and Vice President Toohey. And I think Councilmember Ryan covered that. What we went over, it was very interesting. I want to say welcome to our new officer. And thank you to our speakers, 25 murals, that's pretty exciting. I was able to attend the mayor and business leaders for a public safety event earlier today where Representative Lauren Davis was there, and it was a long meeting, but it was very, very informative, giving a lot of information as well as options and potential, solutions and directions we need to go when it comes to addressing issues around folks with a substance use disorder and the domestic violence crisis that we have. And so it was very informative, and I look forward to working with everybody regionally and here at the city to see what we can utilize out of what was presented, because there was a lot of great information. One of the things that I did learn about there that I thought should be shared is that on May 2nd, the Snohomish County Recovery Coalition, in partnership with Ideal Option, they'll be over at Funko Field with the Aqua Sox, and they're actually having a direct access care on site over at Funko Field. So that's for anyone interested in learning more. They can reach out to April Provost, and that's if you go to idealoption.com, you can find out more about it there. But they're planning on having direct access on site for mobile medical, dental, just in an effort to stop siling some of our services. And I thought that was just such a great thing that they were pursuing. So I thought that you guys should hear about that. I'm sure when we get flyers or see that, we'll be sharing that out to everybody so that they can take advantage of it. But I just wanted to quickly share that information, and that's all I have today.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Zarlingo.
Well, first, I'd like to thank the folks from Bunker Arts Collective with respect to the work they're doing, particularly in the Boys and Girls Club there. That glorious Lions Park neighborhood that Councilmember Ryan and I share. It's been sad to see the graffiti there, especially because that Boys and Girls Club does so much for that community, and that park is such a neat place otherwise. So thanks to them for that. I look forward to supporting more of that there. I'd like to recognize, he's not here tonight, Leland Dart of My Everett News. I was sad to hear earlier on that he's going to end his publishing and retiring January 5th, in just a few days from now, after 13 years. I think I've been following that website for almost all that time, and I've been really grateful for his dedication to covering local news and events, responding in unusual hours, and taking some really great pictures to accompany the write-ups. He also has been introducing us to some local businesses and their owners, and I've used that as an excuse to visit a number of those businesses. I really want to express my thanks and recognition, gratitude for his contributions to local news and the awareness here in this area. And I hope it's not a vain one, that someone else interested in local journalism will pick up the torch. He's offering something like that, so if you're interested, consider this a call to do so. I didn't get a chance last time to recap the Parks and Quality of Life Committee meeting, the December 20th meeting. Just a couple of quick notes. There was a presentation by Liz Stenning, head of the Downtown Everett Association, describing the work they've been doing to make downtown better, the best it can be. It's being guided by a survey she presented the results of. They've done the survey to understand attitudes and preferences and business support. And then also a strong nod and thanks to Dan Ernessy and the comprehensive and persistent efforts he's made to encourage and facilitate economic development of all kinds all over the city. In that meeting, Dan had a map of the entire city and covered recent activity in all areas. This is really critical long-term work, and another example of important but only intermittently exciting staff work, and where the exciting parts appear really only long after the critical and important work has been done. And I know that's ongoing. I really want to send my appreciation to Dan. There's more good news to come. I'm happy to hear about these things and look forward to more. And then lastly, several of us council members went today to the meeting of mayors and business leaders for public safety. I'd like to thank Mayor Franklin and Mayor Nearing for leading the group and bringing business and elected leaders and law enforcement and other first responders together. And I want to thank specifically Representative Lauren Davis. She spoke very well, very comprehensively for something over 2 hours. And one of the takeaways I had from that, and I think Councilmember Fossey mentioned it, is connecting these different chunks of our system together. Because there's more that can be done. There are resources out there that aren't all being taken advantage of. But the dependencies and the connections and making this stuff more effective is ferociously complicated. So I was really grateful to hear there were several state representatives there, including our dual duty Mary Fossey. The ability to connect together the police, the sheriff's department, the businesses, and then the state resources is going to be our best hope for getting a handle on the difficulties we have with drug use and all the stuff that flows from that. So thanks to the group for doing that. I think this was just the start of things, and I wasn't the only one who's been asking for a copy of Representative Davis's slides that pull these things together. So I think Deb Williams will be getting that out to us. And that's it for me. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I don't have an update this evening. Do we have an administrative update?
No update tonight.
Okay. City Attorney, do we have anything happening with you tonight?
Oh, lots, but nothing we need to talk about here. No report and no executive session.
Okay.
Thank you.
So do I hear a motion now for the 5 consent items?
Councilmember Ryan moves approval of the 5 consent agenda items.
Okay, second.
Councilmember Schwab, second.
All right, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Bader?
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan?
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely?
Yes.
Councilmember Schwab?
Yes.
Councilmember Fossey?
Yes.
Councilmember Zarlingo?
Yes.
Vice President Tui?
Yes. Now we'll move on to our one action item, number 6, which is the 2024 election of the council president and vice president. We will start with nominations for president and take those, and then we will hear from the nominator, and then the nominee, and then we will vote, and then we will move to the vice president. So we will start now with nominations for council president for 2024. Councilmember Vogely.
Spoiler alert, it's going to be Dawn.
Okay. Do I have any other nominees?
I'd like to nominate Councilmember Don Schwab for president of this Everett City Council.
Okay, 2 nominees.
I
All right, do I have a second?
will- a second.
Okay. Any other nominees for council president? All right, well, I would like the nominators to say just a few words.
Thank you. I've seen Councilmember Schwab as a steady, moderate voice, someone who's reached out and listened to multiple viewpoints, and in my experience with him, both on the council and in the community, I've seen him refine his positions and sometimes change his mind in response to what he's learned. I've confidence in his ability to work cooperatively and effectively with administration and the city staff. And I think his understanding of budgets and taxes will be helpful as we work out a sustainable financial path for Everett in the years to come.
Thank you. Council President, or I'm sorry, Council Member Schwab, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Well, thank you for the nominations. I want to focus on supporting my fellow council members here at this podium. Communication and timely information is really the key to our collaborative success. I'm very optimistic about the future of our great city of Everett. I enjoy serving the community. We do have a lot of challenges to face this year, including budget, public safety, addiction of our population, homelessness, and housing, just to name a few. But I'm confident that the skills of this group, the talents, the ideas, and especially the passions of this group, and working together and partnering with the mayor's staff will be successful in 2024.
Thank you. Clerk, we have one nominee for council president for 2024, so if you would like to take the role.
My pleasure. Oh, Pause.
Madam President, did we have someone to speak on item number 6? I just didn't want to miss that. I
Oh,
thought there had been.
I don't believe so.
Was there someone?
No, there has not
Oh, I'm
been
sorry, I
anyone sign up.
misunderstood. I just want to make sure they got heard if there was
Yeah.
someone.
No, we got an email.
Understood.
Yeah.
Are there opportunities to provide comment or ask questions?
Sure.
Great, thanks. So the council president position is a really time-intensive commitment, and I just wanted to confirm that you have the bandwidth and flexibility for the administrative burden that comes with this, with the position.
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Well, of course. Thank you for asking.
Great. And then when I was preparing for this meeting, I rewatched last year's council meeting, the comments and the votes, and there was a heavy emphasis on the need for continuity and leadership. And with the important issues coming up over the year, experience was going to be needed to lead council. Can you please share more about your experience in similar positions?
You're asking me? Oh, thank you. Could you repeat that then? I wasn't expecting questions from the dais. This is great.
My apologies. I thought it said in the email that we could provide comments. And
Oh, okay.
can you please share more about your experience in similar leadership positions?
As far as leading a group? Sure, absolutely. I've been a part of multiple types of different board, both nonprofit. I've been a board member for Snohomish County Red Cross, the Washington State Council of Firefighters. I've been a part of some other nonprofit organizations. I've also been involved in leadership within the Everett Fire Department. And also, I'm currently on the management team for my day job.
Thank you. So last year when, like I mentioned, when I was preparing for this meeting, I was reviewing comments, and there was a caution that was provided at last year's meeting about the strength of our council is going to rely on building a bench, and that we should be taking the opportunity to learn from our most seasoned council member to help pass that knowledge torch. So with this realization that our newest, most seasoned council member wasn't planning on moving up in a leadership position, it's disappointing that these sentiments last year were hollow, and that we missed our chance to learn from our longest tenured council member. I'm well aware of Councilmember Schwab's long history with the city and the very great work that he's done with the Everett Fire Department and his commitment to the community. But I will be a symbolic no vote tonight. A no because of frustrations with this process, a no because of the deviations from past stated sentiments, and disappointments that we squandered an opportunity for a successful succession plan. Moving forward, I'd like to share an expectation of responsiveness, and that the efforts towards unity includes the intentional inclusion of all council members.
Okay, any other comments? Councilmember Schwab?
I appreciate the directness and the transparency, and so thank you for those comments.
Okay. Clerk, will you take the roll, please?
Councilmember Bader?
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan?
No.
Councilmember Vogely?
No.
Councilmember Schwab?
Yes.
Councilmember Fosse?
Yes.
Councilmember Zarlingo?
Yes.
Vice President Tui?
Yes. Okay, we will now move on to nominations for the 2024 Council Vice President position. Do I have any nominations? Councilmember Vogely?
I have another spoiler. It's going to be Zarlingo.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other, do I have a second?
Was that a nomination?
That was a nomination for.
I'll second the nomination then.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other nominations for Vice President? Okay, seeing none, we'll ask the nominee to make a comment. The nominator first.
I just know it's going to happen because these things all get talked about beforehand. So, way to go.
Okay. Well, we'll let Councilmember Zarlingo tell us.
All right, thank you. I do expect to work effectively with incoming President Don Schwab, with city staff and administration. I think we developed a good mutual understanding and respect on all sides, particularly the roles and responsibility of the council, the mayor, and the staff. That's something I've paid attention to in my 2 years here on the council. I think we can work effectively together. I think We share a practical view of the issues and opportunities the city faces. And I think we have a complementary set of background knowledge and experiences, both in the public and the private sector. And of course, not having a full-time day job, I hope to be a flexible addition in terms of time to help accommodate changes in priorities or obligations of the president or other council members.
All right, thank you. Are there any comments from council members? Councilmember Fosse.
I'm sure this leadership package will be great going forward and be very thorough in providing, information and set agendas. It did trigger my memory when Councilmember Ryan was bringing up what had happened at the last year's leadership discussions. And at the time, the building out the bench and saying, we need leadership here that is going to, rise above. In hindsight, all of those comments that were made, it just seems like it was unfortunately more geared towards gatekeeping. And it's very sad that I know the reason why some of my colleagues might not have run for a leadership position is because they know that they weren't going to have support again. And so I would like to perhaps review our procedures at our next retreat to look at how we do the rotation of leadership so that this is not something that is necessarily, I think the process could just be better so that everybody has a chance to be in there and we don't have to worry about, accusations of gatekeeping or trying to keep people out of leadership, et cetera. And that we have that natural right of refusal for just regular rotations. So something to think about forward. Nothing to say in as far as, the quality and the caliber of the candidates running. It's just more of, I think we can have a better process in the future.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, any other comments? All right, seeing none, clerk, will you please take the roll for Councilmember Zarlingo as Vice President for 2024?
My pleasure. Councilmember Bader?
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan?
No.
Councilmember Vogely?
No.
Councilmember Schwab?
Yes.
Councilmember Fosse?
Yes.
Councilmember Zarlingo?
Yes.
Councilmember Tui?
Yes. Thank you. So whenever you want to take over now? No? Okay. So our last item tonight is a briefing from our Government Affairs Director Jennifer Gregerson and our state lobbyist Trevor Justin, who are here to brief us on the legislative session that's coming up. So welcome, Trevor and Jennifer.
Yes, yeah. Well, I think, Trevor, if you want to sort of lead off with what you have prepared, kind of a preview of session, and then I can jump in as we talk about our city-specific priorities and hopefully hear from council members. Maybe I'll just also note that the invitation is open to all of those who haven't yet met with me. If you have questions or legislative priorities that you want to share, I appreciate the time that Councilmember Ryan and Councilmember Vogely took to meet with me and talk about issues that are important to you. So, and I don't believe that you were the ones that really took me up on it, and not that the others haven't, but yeah, still open. It's a short session, but there's always an opportunity to give feedback and talk with me about it. So, Trevor, go for it.
Thanks, Council. Nice to be here. Good to see you all. Trevor Justin. I'm your contract lobbyist representing the city, and I'm up here, but as Jennifer said, we really work hand in glove really closely together. So I want to give a brief kind of 2024 session preview, and then we'll highlight our legislative agenda for 2024. 2024 is going to be what we call a short legislative session. It's 60 days. It's the second year of the biennium. I think you all are familiar that the state kind of works on a 2-year biennium. This last year was the long 105-day session where they did the long kind of transportation operating capital budgets. 2024 will be a short session, just 60 days. So it's really kind of, we start and we get going and it's, you blink and it's over. So it moves really quickly. The Democrats continue to kind of control the agenda in Olympia. The Senate Democrats have a majority of 29 over 20 Republicans in the Senate. In the House, 58 Democrats to 40 Republicans in the House. And then obviously Governor Inslee is still in office. So the Democrats continue to kind of control the agenda in Olympia. There's a little bit of shakeup this interim for leadership. The House Republicans elected a new Republican leader in the House. There was also a couple legislators that turned over this interim. Most notably, State Senator Christine Rolfes stepped down to serve on the Kitsap County Board of Commissioners. The reason I bring that up is because our very own Senator June Robinson was the vice chair of that committee. She has now been appointed to the chair of the Senate Ways and Means Committee, so she will be the lead budget writer for the Senate. So very exciting for us, and we're in a unique position to kind of work closely with our lead budget writer in the Senate. So that'll be great to see. Kind of want to highlight the cutoff deadline. The session starts on Monday, January 8th, and again, it is a short 60-day session. The first policy cutoff comes on January 31st, and then we have fiscal committees cutoffs February 5th, House of Origin cutoff on February 13th. That means all House bills have to pass the House by that date. There's minor exceptions, of course, with relating to budget. And then February 21st and 26th, March 1st, those are the opposite cutoffs in the opposite chamber. And then March 7th is day 60. So as Jennifer alluded to, short session, 60 days, it's going to come very quickly. I want to kind of cover some 2024 election dynamics and then some initiatives, just kind of give you a picture of what we're dealing with heading into session. Next year is obviously a really big election, or I guess this year now, later in November is a really big election year. Most notable, Governor Inslee is not seeking re-election, and that's kind of shifted a domino effect for other legislators and others running for other offices. Attorney General Bob Ferguson is running for governor. Commissioner of Public Lands is running for 6th Congressional District. But with that, there's 7 state senators that are going to be running for other offices, which is obviously very significant. And then a handful of representatives will run for other seats and some of those Senate seats as well. So there's going to be a lot of kind of election, looking forward to November dynamics in play in this short session. There's also a slew of initiatives to the legislature, kind of sponsored by Let's Go Washington, which is kind of a more conservative interest group. So that's going to be another dynamic in play. I'll just kind of cover the titles of these initiatives. And again, these are initiatives to the legislature. The legislature has 3 options to deal with these initiatives. There's one on police pursuits, one on the cap and trade or gas tax issue, the long-term care tax, the repealing of the capital gains income tax, repealing of the capital gains tax, and then there's a ballot on no state income tax, and then a parental notification initiative. So these are initiatives to the legislature. The legislature has 3 options. They can either ignore it, and those initiatives go straight to the ballot for November for the general election. They can approve the initiative, which is certainly not going to happen because they don't have the support from the support of the majorities in the legislature. Or the legislature can pass a bill that proposes an alternative to the initiative. So it'll be the initiative that qualifies for the ballot and then the alternative passed by the legislature. It's not looking likely that there will be any alternatives to the legislature, by the legislature. There's been a little discussion on the cap and invest, cap and trade policy. They might talk about doing an alternative to that initiative, but again, time will tell. We'll know more in a week, 2 weeks, and then obviously by 60 days, that'll have to be done by the legislature. And then, so that's the initiatives. I think that about is a good session context. Obviously, there's been legislation being pre-filed for consideration. Again, session starts on Monday, January 8th. So I think there's over 300 bills that have already been pre-filed to the legislature. So not short of ambition, as the legislature never is. We'll be considering those proposals come Monday. I'll pause there for any questions on kind of session dynamics, and then Jennifer and I will cover our legislative agenda. Councilmember Vogely.
Thank you. Good to hear from you this early in the process. And does it matter either way if the Let's Go Washington folks, if they're paid signature gatherers or volunteer? Does that have any weight on anything besides public opinion?
I think it goes to show the financial backing of what those are. A lot of those signature gatherers, to my understanding, were paid. So there was a lot of money poured into those initiatives, again, by more conservative interest groups, kind of led by Jim Walsh, the state Republican Party chair. So I think it goes to show the financial backing of that. But as far as support statewide, I think that's hard to say because there's only about 325,000 signatures need to qualify for initiative to qualify for the ballot. So usually they turn in more, about 400,000, 450,000, somewhere in there per initiative. So obviously with this state of about 8 million people, it's hard to tell, hard to gauge the interest of those initiatives, but it did gather. I know the signatures were turned in for all 6 initiatives. The state secretary's office has to kind of qualify if those signatures are legitimate, and then they'll go forward to the legislature. So to my knowledge, the state secretary has not done that yet, but it's in the process. We'll be doing that shortly.
Okay,
Does that
thank
answer
you.
your question?
That does answer my question, yes. Thank you.
All right. Jennifer, do you want to start on the legislative agenda, or do you want me to cover it?
I'll start
Okay,
and
great.
yeah, see where it goes. One of our first primary things is we'll be thanking our legislators and other folks that don't necessarily represent all of Everett for the capital dollars for the stadium from last session, and then the need to clarify that comes to the city. And I think we're positioned well for that to happen. And then generally the legislative agenda is in your packet. It's high level, like you can see at this stage. So, or it should be, and if it's not, I'll just email it to you in like whenever I stop talking. The first bucket of that is the focuses on economic development, housing, and quality of life. So home ownership, I've heard that from many of the voices up on the dais, and specifically from a couple of you recently, and affordability in general. Revenue options and tools, responsive options for the city. And then another big piece that falls in that category is focuses on our youth and access to early learning, activities, education, mentorship, those type of topics. Workforce development, next section, and that really specifically regarding behavioral health and general health care as part of the focus there. And then, as many of you know, that workforce development is really intimately tied to childcare access and affordability of childcare, so that is on our list also. And then STEM education. So we've been highlighting a proposal from Wazoo Everett to have a new degree program at their Everett campus that fits that category. And then, STEM education in general. And then the last big bucket is behavioral health and public safety. So always want to have a nice focus on police recruitment and retention. Revenue tools that relate to those priorities of behavioral health and public safety. So there's a discussion about a council-managed public safety funding option, so we'll add our voice to that. Not necessarily whether you guys would take advantage of that tool, but I think just having options is really important, and we know about our fiscal situation here in Everett and how important that is. Some of you heard about this from our judges at the Municipal and District Courts event that they held several months ago. But that gap between when folks can receive competency evaluations and have involuntary commitment, and sort of those gaps in mental health and the court system, solutions for that. Funding for co-responder and alternate response programs like the ones that we've had for several years now in Everett. Substance use disorder treatment funding and different solutions for that. And I think we'll probably also be highlighting the mayor's drug crisis task force, and they'll just be launching, but I think as a message of how important that is for our city. And then the last little bullet under that category are gun safety regulations and related proposals. Right now, there's one that's come to our attention that would make unlawful possession of a firearm in the first degree a violent offense. But we'll be watching for other opportunities to align with proposals that match our values around gun violence prevention and gun safety. All right. I'm more practiced at it now. Maybe it was too fast. Hope that's all right. But yeah, questions definitely.
Hey, Councilmember Vogely.
Thank you again. That reminds me, all of that talk. Is there any legislation coming up about body cams and when they must be turned on? Or do you recall if that has already been in like the de-escalate stuff or any of the recent, it's a curiosity.
There's been a lot of discussion around body cams in the future. I don't know if there's specific proposal, or excuse me, in the past. I don't know if there's specific proposals coming in '24 to deal with that, but we'll definitely keep our eye out.
Okay, thank you.
I'll also make a mention too, these broad bucket items kind of give us a lot of ability to kind of weigh in on different policy proposals. So as we see policy proposals, bills, get scheduled for public hearings, we can sign in either for or against if we either support or oppose those pieces of legislation. So it gives Jennifer and I and others a lot of ability to discuss each policy proposal and kind of how we want to weigh in on those policy proposals.
Councilmember Ryan.
Great, thank you for adding that. That was kind of my next question about if there's going to be matching bills, and then going forward, how will that information be shared with council? And which kind of ties into my next question, which was what are some things we can expect for communication-wise during the legislative session this year?
Well, I can almost promise, I don't know for sure, but probably be sitting right in this seat every week. And I'll, to some extent can wrap some of that into that administrative update that I give you. Trevor will give us written reports, and we've heard that there's an interest in having a little more context, so it's not gonna just be like a list of bills, but like a little bit more of how things tie together. And that, we can sort of see how that goes through session too. I'm open to hearing like this, like you hit it this time, or this doesn't help me at all, whatever feedback you wanna provide. Yeah, so I think I'm the sort of the in-person conduit, and then Trevor will be communicating back. And then also, I wanted to mention, and I feel like he might be back there. Yeah, there he is. It's hard to recognize without a uniform, but our newest senior executive director, Dan Templeman, is also backing us up in these efforts, particularly with his expertise in public safety and how that ties into our priorities. So he'll be tapped to participate as well.
Great.
Already has been.
It's the goatee that throws me off, which I think has morphed into a beard, if I'm thinking. Okay. And then has the city been involved with any like pre-legislative sign-ons or anything thus far?
There's a lengthy list of pre-filed pieces of legislation. I should note too that every bill, given this is the second year of the biennium, every bill that didn't pass last year is automatically reintroduced in 2024. So the bill tracking list that I have from last year will still be relevant. A lot of time legislators will file a new piece of legislation even if it's on the same topic. So those bills will all be officially introduced on Monday, and we'll be watching those. And I think a little bit more important than the intro sheet is what's on the committee schedule. And the first committee schedule for next week actually just came out about an hour or two ago. So we'll be watching those like a hawk to make sure to see what policy proposals get scheduled, and we can decide if we want to weigh in or not.
Thanks. I don't think my question was super clear. Sorry about that. Has the city signed on in support of any legislation that will be coming down the pike?
We're not proposing any piece of legislation to legislation.
And we haven't signed on to anything yet. So Jennifer highlighted kind of our main areas of, focus. And if you have questions about any of those or would not like us to sign on, I would appreciate hearing that right away. But that kind of highlights things that we will be signing on to if they fit in neatly into those buckets.
Okay, great.
I will add a carryover from last year was a 1% property tax cap. There's an effort going on there, and we are on that one pager, that sign-on one pager. So I guess that's a carryover from last year.
Great. Yeah, that was my question.
Okay, perfect. Gotcha.
Great. Thank you. And then, I look forward to hearing more during the session. I'm, heavily involved with my county hat as well. I'd be happy to testify, sign on and support, just, lend my efforts to make sure that the legislative session comes out really well for the city of Everett. Thanks.
Yeah, I appreciate that offer, and, we turn to the mayor often, but you guys are also elected officials representing the city, so I think it's great. It's always good to have your voices, and the remote testimony makes it easier, so happy to loop you in. And then actually, maybe I'll let Councilmember Schwab go and see if you mention what I was about to mention about AWC. I don't know if you will or not.
I was just wondering if you could discuss any coordination that we have with the Association of Washington Cities. Is that it?
Well, kind of it.
Okay.
I actually wanted to thank you for, continuing to volunteer to serve on their legislative priorities committee with AWC. And then I encourage council members to consider attending their lobby days. It's February 7th and 8th. Sounds like they've had a lot of registrations already, but if you're interested in going down to Olympia, it's a great opportunity. And also, it's like all of those events, you'll see lots of folks that are from Snohomish County, but you just don't always see them, all in one place and have the opportunity to network. And we'll be happy to support council members that want to head down and help coordinate meetings and things like that too.
AWC also has a weekly meeting on Thursday evenings after the schedule comes out, kind of looking forward to the next week and all the bills that have been proposed, and I attend those weekly, so I'll be on their meeting tomorrow and weekly going forward, so in close contact with AWC.
Councilmember Bader, you had a question?
Thank you, Council President. Maybe the other side of Councilmember Ryan's question, bills that are out there that seem to have some legs that we're concerned about and would like not to see passed. Any comments on anything out there we're worried about?
Well, it's the same process as they get scheduled, right? We kind of, kind of monitor those and make sure if we support or we oppose. Same kind of thing. We can either sign in, oppose, testify. Nothing extremely pressing right now comes to mind, but of course working through AWC on those proposals as well. City family does a pretty good job of sticking together, whether it's large or small cities. AWC does a great job, and we'll be in close contact with them.
All right, any other questions? Councilmember Zarlingo.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for the update and also the comments about, from what I saw last year, I mean, I'm interested in more context and maybe a boiled down version of some of this, because I remember going to the websites and looking through the lists and then going to the bills and looking for different versions of the bills and what they meant, and it was more time than I could actually justify in some cases, so expert consultation on that, I'll definitely appreciate that, and second Councilmember Ryan's suggestion that way. And I guess I will say in response to your gracious invitation to discuss legislative priorities, the stuff I happened to discuss with Mayor Franklin and found that stuff was already there, and given my appreciation for how few of these things actually make it to the finish line, I'm trying to think of the things that will actually be practical differences. And I think with the exception of the housing legislation last year, which maybe came in more than we thought it would, it's usually the other direction. So I'm aware of that. And I think the only thing I can ask for in the process then here primarily is just those periodic updates. And thank you for that.
All right, any other questions from council? Seeing none? Thank you very much, Trevor
Thank you.
and
Thank you,
Jennifer.
council members.
And with no further business, we are now adjourned.